Alright guys, today we're talking about tag questions and what they are. Now, let us see an example of a tag question. For example, Julia, you like cats, don't you? Alright. Or another example, I can say, Natalie, you don't like beer. Right? You don't like beer, do you?
Yes, I do.
Well, there's no need to answer yet. It's just an example. So, you like cats, don't you? Or you don't like beer, do you? Now, guys, as you see, the question, pretty much your statement, this part of the sentence, it's not a question. It's not even a question. It's just a statement. It's a positive statement, or maybe it's a negative statement, right? Right? So positive, you like, or negative, you don't like. Now, your tag question, the question itself is only at the end of the sentence. And of course, you have to have this question like intonation, don't you? Or do you? Now, what is important, guys, is to notice that if your initial statement is positive, your tag must be negative, right? And if your statement is negative, your tag should be positive. This is it. Now, guys, in the Russian language, the best translation to this would be what would it be? David, right?
Не
так ли, David, right? Like
Разве?
that's definitely not разве, but не так ли or David, it's the best in this case. So remember, guys, your question is only at the very end of your message, right? The first part of your sentence is not a question; it's a statement, right? You make a statement, and in the end, you say David, right? Do you? Don't you? All right. And of course, guys, you have to pay attention to the fact that your tag must be at the same tense as your statement. Now we have what? You like, it's present simple, so your tag will use auxiliary verb of present simple. Now if we make it, let's say, present perfect, yeah? Like Julia, you have been to Europe. David?
Haven't you?
Very good. Haven't you? Right. And let's say, you have been to Europe, it's a positive statement, right? It's a positive statement. That's why your tag is negative. Moreover, have been is present perfect. The auxiliary verb is have, so you have to use the auxiliary have in your tag. Well, let's take some other tense. Well, let's say, Natalie, well, let's take an example like you aren't sleeping. David,
Are you?
are you? Again, we pay attention to the statement first. The statement is negative, you aren't. So your tag should be positive. And we're using present continuous, the auxiliary verb is are. So it has to be in the tag as well, are.
It's like счастье.
What?
No, I mean, только первая часть получается конструкции, если present continuous.
You're using present continuous at the beginning of your statement. Yes. So your first part of the sentence is in present continuous, and the second part of your statement is a question actually. So you're only using auxiliary verb. Only auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb is вспомогательный глагол. Only auxiliary verb. You don't need the verb. You don't need the смысловой глагол. You don't need the main verb here. This is it. So people, you have to remember just two things. First of all, if your statement is positive, your tag is negative. And vice versa. If your statement is negative, your tag is positive. That's thing number one. And thing number two, you have to remember that you should pay attention to the tense. Because if it's present simple, your tag will be do or don't. If it's past simple, your tag will be did or didn't. If it's present continuous, your statement will be are or aren't, or is, isn't, right? This is it. So pay attention to the positivity or negativity of your statement, and pay attention to the tense. This is it. Mhm. This is it. And of course, guys, you have to pay attention to intonation. Now, this is very interesting here. Here we have two types of intonation. We have a rising intonation, and we have a falling intonation. Now, what would be the difference between these two intonations? Well, listen to this. Hey, Julia, you like cats, don't you? Rising intonation. Hey, cats, you like cats, don't you? Falling intonation. Don't you? Don't you? Right? People, the intonation here, if it's a rising intonation, it means I really don't know the answer. Tell me, do you like cats or not? I don't know. Tell me. So, Julia, you like cats, don't you? I don't know. Tell me. It's a rising intonation. But if it's a falling intonation, I actually know the answer. I actually know that you like cats. I just want to develop this conversation. I just want to invite you to discuss it. All right? So, Julia, you like cats, don't you? Come on, tell me more about it. Of course, I know that you like cats. So, rising intonation means you don't know. Tell me the answer. Falling intonation, it means you know the answer actually, you just want to talk about it. You just want to develop the conversation. You see?
Yeah.
Rising intonation, you don't know the answer. Falling intonation, you know the answer. You just want to talk about it. That's it. Julia, is it clear? Or not really clear about intonation? Okay, intonation is clear. Alright, so intonation, we talked about intonation here. Now guys, of course, just like in any rule, there are some exceptions here. Now let's talk about exceptions. I'll have to erase this. How about this? Hey, let's go shopping. Let's go shopping, huh? So what will be the tag here?
Is that
Nope.
don't no? Let?
Well, the tag is only one. Shall we?
Okay.
Shall we? Now, if you make a suggestion like let's, your tag will always be shall, not shall not. It will never be negative. It will always be positive.
It's like modal verb, no?
It's a modal verb. It's a modal verb of asking for directions or asking for orders. For example, you tell me, "Oh, Eugene, I'm so hungry," and I ask you to tell me what to do. Shall I close the door? If you're hungry, shall I give you a sandwich? Yeah. Yeah. This is funny, isn't it? Yeah, I'm hungry. Shall I close the door? All right. Now, if you have a suggestion, let's. Your tag will always be shall. It will never be negative, guys. You cannot say shall not. Another situation, another exception. For example, you give somebody a command. Hey, close the door, please. Close the door. Will you? Will you? Close the door, will you? And again, this tag will always be with commands. With commands. So what is this? It's suggestions. Suggestions. Commands.
Comments, what's that?
Or commands. To command. Sit down. Stand up. Go. Like in the army. Exactly. Commands. Close the door, will you? And again, guys, Will you cannot be negative. It will always be positive. You cannot say will not or won't. All right. Now another example of an exception is this. I am so smart. I'm so smart, David. I'm so smart.
Am I? No.
So it's a positive statement, so it has to be negative, negative tag. Amn't I? Sounds horrible, right?
Yeah.
And actually, there is no such a contraction like amn't. So that's why instead of amn't, they use aren't. Aren't I? I'm so smart, aren't I? Oh, some cars making noise, I'll close it. Alright, so here we have the three exceptions. Suggestions, commands, and well, when you talk about the first person I, and you make a positive statement about I. Ooh, I'm so handsome, aren't I? I'm so smart, aren't I? This is it. Okay. And another exception is this. For example, nobody came. Nobody came, did they? Now, interesting. Nobody is a negative. It's a negative by default. But how do we refer to nobody? He, she, it, they. Right. And because it's negative, your tag is positive. Did they? Okay, so here we have 4 exceptions. When you make suggestions, when you make comments, when you talk about yourself in a positive statement, I am, and when you start your sentence with the word nobody. So that's pretty much 4 exceptions to this rule. Okay guys, so this is the tag questions. Let's summarize. Tag questions. What's important? If your tag is positive, or if your statement is positive, your tag is negative. If your statement is negative, your tag is positive, right? And of course, you have to pay attention to that tense, right? Is it present? If it's present simple, in your tag will be do, don't, right? If it's past simple, did, didn't, and so on. Secondly, you have to remember about the intonation. Rising intonation means you really need the answer because you don't know. Falling intonation means you know the answer that the person is going to give you, but you just want to talk about it. Just, develop conversation. That's it. Now we have 4 exceptions. Now it's suggestions. Hey, let's go shopping, shall we? It's commands. Close the door, will you? Will you in Russian can be translated like "соизволите ли?" Yeah, you can translate. Well, of course, nobody talks like that in Russian, but still. And next one, I'm so smart, aren't I? When you make a positive statement about yourself using am, using to be. So there is no such a contraction like amn't. That's why you have to use aren't. And the last one is nobody came, did they. Right? Nobody's negative, and you refer to it with the word they. Right? Nobody came, did they. Alright? That's pretty much